Yes, England represented the United States of America after the Revolution in 1783 because they lost. France lost Haiti. They will not recognize it until 1825. It's going to come with a price tag, that the people will not be able to make. And this recognition is so important. We're talking about a little teeny tiny island, little teeny tiny part of it. They need trade. They need support. They need recognition. They need to be known to exist. Up until 1825, not only did Haiti not exist in the mind of the French, everybody, including the United States, including England, including Spain, everybody in the world wanted to align with France because of all these things I just said. These ideas about what Haiti represents. No one will accept the middle of the Caribbean and 40 developed right after pirates, brigands, and Spanish Revolution. No one will accept them. Those are ideas that people had and that they have. So let's talk about Sanssouci, Palace of Henri Christophe. Hey everybody, how many large structures have you been to that were made by Africans in the Western Hemisphere in the 19th century? Made for and by Africans. Oh wait, what does a Sanssouci even mean? This is where things get super interesting to me. I'm an art history professor. I mean, I'm an art history student. So I love art history. I love architecture. Do you know what Sanssouci actually means linguistically? It's a French term. It means no words. Sans means without. Souci. That's a funny name to call something in Haiti without words. A place where people will. Now maybe it's because of Grenada. So there's a theory here that maybe Christophe was born in Grenada. There's a lot of places he could have been born. His whole life is shrouded in mystery, but there's a chance that he was born in Grenada and that he was born in a part of Grenada called Sanssouci, so he was naming it after a place that he associated with his childhood before he was brought over to Saint-Domingue, which would then later be called Haiti. Maybe that's why. I think more interestingly, it's tied into this question of Bossal versus Clayton. So Bossal people were born in Africa. As a reminder, the majority of people living in Haiti, 1804, Declaration of Independence is declared. The majority of people living in Haiti were born in Africa. Because the slave trade was so profitable, they just kept upping the numbers. Okay? But most of the leaders, most of the generals, most of the people in power, most of the landowners were Creole. Have a completely different life experience. It's very different being abducted as an adult and being enslaved for a period of time versus being born into slavery. So I'm going to tell you the story of this guy right here. His name is Jean-Baptiste. Jean-Baptiste Sanssouci. Of course, we're talking about Sanssouci. We're talking about him. Let's not about him, I don't think, but I'm just going to say that. Born in Africa, so he's a Bossal. He was a great slave rebellion leader. He served under Toussaint. He never served Leclerc. He hid in the mountains. Okay, he switched to Leclerc briefly, but he was a rival to another young general, Henri Christophe, and he represented the power of the Bossal because the Bossal, for the most part, never actually gave in to any European power. They didn't really need to. They were like doing their own thing. They'd previously maybe been, right? So it was when enslaved people just went off and made their own communities in the woods and in the hills and stuff. Find them and get to them. They had a whole different system of warfare, a whole different experience, languages, all that stuff. So, like, Sanssouci represented that. And he was a very good leader, very good general, and he was a rival to Henri Christophe. And this battle can be seen in the context of, can be seen in the context of Creole versus Bossal. Because, of course, Henri Christophe represents the Creoles. So this study says, hey guys, you gotta work it. You can't be fighting each other. And actually, it seems as though Sanssouci was ready to work alongside Christophe. He was going to stop fighting, he was going to go into the fold. And of course, Christophe is just going to kill him. He's going to kill him. Because he doesn't fight because he could represent a threat, because he's bitter, or whatever it is, or because it's a revolution. He kills Sans Souci. So why does he name the palace Sans Souci? Is it to honor the fallen rival and therefore to foster peace amongst the blacks against the Bosala and the Creole? Is this an act of reconciliation? It could be. We can see it as an act of reconciliation, saying like, look, I named this after your great leader. I'm sorry that I didn't kill him, but I honor him now. You know, like Massachusetts. I've been to Massachusetts. You know, it's named after people you would kill, right? Honor them. Lake Seneca. Honoring the Seneca by naming the lake Lake Seneca. Well, if that's what we think we're doing, or is it to bury the memory of the bitter and remind the Bosal of their subjugation? Yeah, we can name our hockey team the Blackhawks, and you can't do anything about it. We exterminated you as best we could. And if there's any of you left, you want to complain about this, we're going to tell you that you're wrong because we're honoring you. Or is it a style of domination? I ask my students, what would you feel like if someone killed you and named their house after you? Would you think that they were honoring you? But all these things are so complex. So he names his palace. I'm not there yet, actually. Let's talk about Versailles. Not about Versailles. That's where Louis XIV built his palace. A lot of it was made off of the exploitation of Africans. It's a slave trade, right? That's where a lot of money comes from. That's why I say to think of it as being a place that is underground. I didn't see it as a place that's drenched in blood. But what is it, really? It's a beautiful place. You should go there. It should be, if you were traveling to France, Versailles is easily the top 15 places to visit in France. It's really good. France is such an amazing place to visit. Oh, the beaches at Normandy are not in the top 50. You should go. If you want to travel, do not go to Normandy. Don't go all the way to France just to be reminded of how great the American military is, okay? There's other things to see. What is Versailles? Versailles is state architecture used in propaganda to emphasize the power and glory of the king and his rule. That's what it is. That's the function that it serves. I ask my students why was it that in the 19th century we built the Capitol and the White House and they look like old European colors and stuff. It's to emphasize state power, the glory of our leaders, the glory of our democracy, the connection that we have to the past, the eternal future, and all those things are all implied by our architecture. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. State architecture is propaganda. Always. State propaganda. State architecture is always propaganda for the state, no matter what it looks like. If it's super utilitarian, then that's the message. If it's gold and gaudy, then that's the message. If it's modern, then that's the message. If it's whatever it is, there is a message that is always there. Besides made to emphasize the power and glory of the king. And look at this. Look at that. Potsdam, Germany. Is then called Prussia. King Frederick made Sans Souci his palace. Beautiful place. I'd love to go this. I love that color yellow. I used to have a poster of this. My girlfriend at the time had a. It's a nice place, right? But what is it? It's state architecture uses propaganda to emphasize the power of the king and his rule. That's what it is. Again, one more time. That's what it is. So, what is Sans Souci? This is what it looked like when Christophe lived there. And by the way, it is also the setting of the play that I'm having you read by Aimé Césaire, the tragedy of King Christophe. It all takes place in this palace. It is state architecture uses propaganda to emphasize the power and glory of the king and his rule. 2 + 2 = 4. Murder and division amongst ex-enslaved people. That's what Sans Souci means. Plus, you need to either reconcile or threaten possible rebels. That's also what Sans Souci means. Equals Sans Souci. The heads of state need to project power through architecture. Plus, to prevent egomaniac movement to show off how powerful it is. Equals Sans Souci as well. Which means that Sans Souci plus Sans Souci equals Sans Souci. I don't want to call it Sans Souci, but I just threw that in there. Insane. It's actually that might be it. So that's what Sans Souci is, and that's the building. And it's one of the wonders of the world, and I can't wait to go there. It may never make it, because I don't know when I'll ever be safe. You know, I don't know when I will ever feel safe. There's a difference between being safe and feeling safe. Maybe I would be safe, but might not feel it. Frankly, I'm a nervous traveler. But still, this is the top of my list. If I could transport myself anywhere in the world right now, it would be to go right here, because I want to see this amazing testament. Also, not for nothing, beware of Wikipedia. In 2018, I found this. It said that she moved to Sanssouci Palace in 1798. That is still on Wikipedia. Um, hey, it wasn't even begun to be built until 1719. So it is symbolic architecture. What did it symbolize? Before enslaved people could create structures that rival Europeans. Good. Built on a plantation that the king used to manage. Interesting. It used to manage a plantation. It was constructed with great brutality towards workers. This is contested by some historians, so just to let you know that. It symbolized the king's distance from people. Bad. It symbolized freedom of Russian outside. Bad. It symbolized the king's opulence and ridiculous love of showing off. Bad. After his death, it was ransacked and left to rot. Of course, history is complex, but all of these things are implied by this. Now, speaking of symbolic architecture, there was no doubt that as the King of France wanted to send all of his forces bearing down a group of rebel subjects bearing the name of 100th the people of his kingdom, would neither have within them great military or material resources that they could attack them and take it back. The Haitians know that. So they were interested in it. In the book, they go all over. Malouet was this guy who was working with Louis XVIII and figuring out how to just really do what he wanted to. He wanted to recreate it where people with the lightest skin got the most rights, the people with darker skin got the fewest rights. Okay, he suggested just killing and exiling the most rebellious blacks. Okay, all these things. He got special military honors to give to them in exchange. He thought that was going to work. All the diplomats got their throats cut because that's what you had to do. That was probably the right move. That's why La Citadelle is so important. Sorry, I keep checking all the time because I have a student coming in 10 minutes. Right, this will be good. La Citadelle, just as a reminder. Just as a reminder. Welcome to class number 17. It's the 17th class of Haiti, the most important country in the world. Past the revolution, past Toussaint, the past Dessalines, basically all of the white French people have left the island or been removed by force or by murder, and we are now in a free state. So what is going to happen next? Well, civil war is going to happen. Different factions are going to be there. Some good things, some bad things. It's the class on Haiti. As always, if you want to take notes, I suggest you do. Keep yourself active. We have just get some people, right? This is a reminder that I'm teaching a 200 level class, which means that it's mostly for freshmen, 17, 18-year-olds who are history work. So I am not an expert on Haiti. I'm getting pretty good at teaching about it. But if you have things you want to correct me on, things you want to say, if you are from Haiti or if you are an expert on Haiti, please tell me in the comments. I read them all. I take them all very seriously. Actually, I've been talking about something that I read recently. So let's get to today's session. Let's get to it. Right there. Continue to share. Students and friends, I am Professor Scott. My name is perhaps known to you. I undertake you to teach about Haiti. Curiosity and thirst for complex understanding do reign in this class. I am working to help that happen. Unite yourself, students, and learn with me for the same reasons. I started asking my students these questions as well. Why weren't you born in Haiti? Why weren't you in Haiti in 2010? Why aren't you living in Haiti right now? Just a reminder that a lot of things are outside of our control. I just want to remind my students of that fact. If you are taking notes, I suggest use the title. How I title the YouTube thing something like Civil War in Haiti, but it's really the kingdom versus the republic. That's what it is. That's what we're going to be studying today, and how this shift is going to happen. So, yes, for Sans Souci Palace and Citadel. Next class, we're going to be talking a lot about state architecture of the Kingdom of Haiti, which I think is very interesting and beautiful stuff, as well as talking about the end of Christophe Pétion's rule in Haiti. So if you have the book, this book, After Stocks of History by Laurent Dubois, there he is. If you have that book, for next class, please read pages 69 to 88. Okay? All right. So, I went back to this question. I have these two. So, when I say that I read this, someone said that asking if Dessalines or Toussaint is a word or a one, which I thought was translated to hero or villain, is actually like asking hero or villain. And I do not want to, I don't use the word. I did not understand that there's a chance that the word could be read racially. The person in the comments was like, you wouldn't say that about American literature. I absolutely would. Like Thomas Jefferson, hero or villain. George Washington, hero. And all basically all heroes have some villainousness to them. Right? That's part of the idea. I'm trying to teach like the idea of complex understanding that goes beyond simple. But if there is an aspect in which me saying A will one be sort of reinforcing kind of Eurocentric judgment, then I'm going to just go with the English from now on. Good guy, bad guy. Okay, just there's aspects that make people good guys, aspects that make them bad guys. It's clear to keep it simple. So let's get back. So I had students just talking about why Dessalines was assassinated, and a lot of his actions were seen as being too severe, too draconian, too autocratic, supporting the land laws of Toussaint, which made people angry. He basically alienated everybody, and Pétion had him murdered, and he checked with Louis Christophe. Christophe said, okay. Now there's a couple terms that I think are really important, and these are going to become more important as the class goes on. And it's a new term for two different kinds of opposing forces. Rosales versus Creole. Now it is my hope that you've been watching every single class. Creole is the word for somebody who was born in this case, Haiti, who was born on the island, who was born in the colony. They are called a Creole. So as you might imagine, Rosales is the opposite. That is someone who is born in our most of the forces, most of the people, the majority of the people are Rosales, because there was a huge influx of enslavement from Africa right before the revolution. That's part of the reason that it survived. Creoles, people who were born into slavery, have different relationships, they might have the fight successfully out of them by being born into this condition, and they haven't known anything else other than this condition, right? And one interesting thing, Rosales in general, when we talk about the figures that were up in the jungles, up in the woods, up in the mountains, but fighting, not taking sides with the Europeans, a lot of those are Rosales, right? These Rosales. How do I pronounce that? Let's go Rosales. So a lot of them are these African-born folks who, were shipped relatively recently to the island, and they are not having the exact same fight. And often a lot of them were even there before the revolution. If you look at the term as probably French, Marron. These were the little groups that would form on the sides sort of far away from the French lines and grips. So, just to bring those themes up, in particular, I like this quote from LeBron. In fact, the African-born majority of the nation largely find themselves marginalized. In his Declaration of Independence, Dessalines announced his determination to, quote, forever ensure Liberty's reign in the country of our birth. So, most Haitians carrying him in 1804 were not born in Haiti and grew up in Africa. So, just an interesting division that is going to keep going. A little story. There's not been very much representation of women or women's stories in this class. It's just the way that history is often told. But there's an interesting character. So you can go to the place in Haiti tearing him apart, kind of limb from limb. And it's sort of a sad reminder that this person, like literally, named the country, gave it its independence, so apart that at the end of his life, he was
I don't know.
he was that disliked.
I feel like
That's how human history is, and it's worth remembering this historical figure called Dede Bezien. So she was called Défilé. So what that means in French is like a march, a défilé, like a fashion show is a défilé. It's a défilé. So she would be. There were sometimes women who would kind of travel along with armies, selling or giving them or spirits, stuff like that. So that's what she did. She like marched with Dessalines' army, and she's called La Flamme because people said that she was crazy. Who knows, right? People can base it all according to our history. The important thing for this story is she saw that Dessalines' body was being desecrated and destroyed. She grabbed a bag or a sack or something and just put together his limbs and arms and head and everything and just carried that sack just like told me to have. Is this one of the most interesting national heroes you can have? Is this story not absolutely fascinating? That a figure who is now probably the most popular figure in Haitian history at the end of his life was like so hated by the people that they tore apart his corpse. And then we have this hero who's like the one woman who's like, what have we done? We have to honor this person. And like she would figure, imagine if George Washington, imagine if someone like Trenton, New Jersey, people were like his corpse, you know? History's
He's from versus Detroit, baby.
die a hero, live long enough to see yourself turn into a villain. So of course, this
Definitely Bronzo.
power vacuum. And
Ah,
I try to explain to my students how dangerous a power vacuum is. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because people want to fill it. So how are they going to fill it? Well, to their credit, they decide to try to do something less autocratic, as Toussaint had been and as Dessalines had been. Make a government, get a parliament, represent the people, and get a president. So this all kind of makes sense. It seems like they're going in a pretty positive direction. And the most logical president would be, let's think, first leader was Toussaint. He was a powerful black general. Two of his best soldiers or officers were Dessalines and Henri Christophe. So after Toussaint, Dessalines.
what's
So
up? It's
after
his
Dessalines,
razor.
it makes sense he would be Christophe, right? That's what makes the most sense, and he would end up becoming president. So I've already discussed a little bit of his history. It's a fascinating history because he was born in slavery. His material condition, equivalent to that of most slaves who
72 fucking
live
free
in
though for a
Haitian
life.
hotel,
But that worked out.
kind of like a lot of European people have access to sort of higher class, but just like more educated people, more refined people want to see that. More sophisticated people want to see that as Americans would. This one, Toussaint's best general, he was the guy who burned Le Cap. At the time it was called Le Cap Francais, but it's now called Le Cap Haïtien. I'll tell you what it became soon.